And welcome back to the Backyard Basketball Podcast presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network.
Liquid smoke.
We had a very busy trade deadline. Some things took place that I don't think anybody could have seen coming except for my main man, Christian Steck. How are you feeling right now, knowing that you made the bet of all bets, seeing James Harden end up with the Sixers and a very scary, would you call it, Ben Simmons with the Brooklyn Nets?
Okay, I feel like you're patronizing me a bit with that whole Ben Simmons bit. But, you know, the writing was on the wall early on in the week. We saw a lot of reports about James Harden not being happy. And I think, you know, sometimes I see that stuff and it's like you just, whatever, don't even take it seriously. But kind of the urgency on the matter and everything that was kind of being said, a lot of, you know, what's the same statement they always say? When there's smoke, when there's a lot of smoke, there's probably a fire somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
There's probably a fire. So, you know, it's great for both situations. Now the fun thing is like who ends up on top first, like, you know,
The Brooklyn Nets or
Philadelphia. Who wins this trade? Right.
Well, you seem to think the Brooklyn Nets won this trade. And I'm here to tell you James Harden with Joel Embiid is going to be a very interesting sight to see.
And yeah. Why do you... Okay, so why James Harden and Joel Embiid? So James Harden's got a hamstring injury, supposedly.
Right.
When's he going to play? We got 20 games left.
He's probably going to play more games than Kyrie Irving before the end of the season.
Probably.
That was his problem. I wouldn't want to play with those guys if you didn't know what was going to happen in your lineup. I mean,
No.
They do, and it's going to be a lot of not... Like, when's Ben Simmons actually going to play?
Really quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because he wants to. And he's
Yeah,
right.
well, because I see today him doing, you know, his press conference, and then I think sometime before or after that press conference, I don't know if you've seen, but he took a bunch of photos in that Ben Simmons jersey, like a Brooklyn Nets jersey.
Oh, really?
And he's holding the basketball, and he's going like, at the fucking camera, and like dribbling and shit. And I'm like, come on.
He's ready.
Come on. Like, if he could play tomorrow and put all this shit behind us, I mean, obviously the whole mental health thing, I believe is true 100%. But I just look at the guy today and see, like, you know, in his eye, like, he's ready. He's so happy to be in a different scenario. Like, he won't address that, but it's, like, so obvious that, like, this was the best thing that could happen for him. So, and he recognizes that, so he's going to take it very seriously to capitalize on the opportunity. But with the Kyrie Irving thing, like, you know, it's still a continued issue. Like, what if the rest of the season he's only playing 50% of the games? Like, is that going to work?
I saw a fascinating statistic that stated that they could start a lineup that only consisted of first overall picks.
Okay.
Ben Simmons,
yeah, I've seen that.
Kyrie, and who's that there? Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin, yeah.
And then 2 second.
And Aldridge.
Aldridge and I want to say Joe Harris, but that's just not right.
No, fuck. Kevin Durant.
That's right, KD.
It's
Supersonics,
like
well, it's Seattle.
it's so crazy to think
Such
he
a
was
long
a
time.
second overall pick.
Yeah, who's that other guy on that team? Okay, well, I mean, it has. If you're a team that didn't make a big move, which is the Lakers and a lot of other teams that we deem contenders, Phoenix didn't make a move. We didn't see Milwaukee really impact their team. I mean, we might on the waiver wire, and we might with the Lakers as well. What was the biggest surprise to you beyond your big, bold, winning prediction?
I like... This is going to mean, I don't know. This wasn't a big one. But I like that the Celtics added Derek White and got rid of Schroeder.
Was it a 1-for-1? Schroeder went to the Spurs? No, Schroeder went...
No,
Where is he?
That's a good question.
Where did Schroeder go?
I can't remember.
Got buried somewhere.
He got thrown around somewhere, but all that matters somehow through the Spurs. Maybe he went to the Spurs. We got Derek White. And Derek White and Marcus Smart are kind of the same player.
Mm-hmm.
Like defensive really well. And the Celtics are on now a 9-game winning streak. So, I don't know. I mean, like, kudos to Brad Stevens. My opinion is I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's bringing Daniel Tice back. You got that in the trade.
That's right.
We've got, from Philly, and then now he's back on our team.
Horford?
Al Horford. So then we've also got Al Horford. And people are like, oh, you're just bringing the Celtics old, but they're like older, and how is this going to work? Is this going to be anything? Obviously, he's like figured something out. Robert Williams is playing pretty well. The Celtics have caught stride. They're the 7th seed. Or no, I think the 6th seed. They're
moving up.
They're 3 games ahead of the Raptors who have the 7th seed, and Brooklyn's got the 8th. That's
and they've been dominating. So, like, they just played against Philly and just whooped them. And the game before as well. They've been on a pretty good tear here. Another team on the rise are Raptors.
Raptors, yeah.
They made a big move for Thaddeus Young. Maybe not what people would consider the biggest move. But he looks like all the other Toronto Raptors. Big, broad shoulders, and above 6'9".
What was his contract too? Isn't he like relatively?
I'm not too sure.
Cheap. It's way cheaper than.
I don't think he's a UFA. I don't think you're gonna lose him at the end of the season. But he's a great asset. He can pass like a mofo, and I mean he's still productive from beyond the arc. He did look a little bit out of sorts the game against the Raptors when they put him in. Maybe he's nursing something. I don't know, or nurses. I don't know. I don't know exactly how they're going to...
I think he did have an injury.
Yeah?
Yeah, so he did have an injury.
To fit him in. But maybe that's a good thing because you don't want to rustle things up too much, especially if they're doing well. And like we talked about on the last episode, the Raptors are really doing well with the cast that they have right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would have liked to see like a bigger chip come in. I don't know exactly if the Nurkic thing was realistic or not. But Portland doesn't seem to know what's going on.
Well, no, they do. They do. Now it's just having to come to terms with Nurkic will probably be the next to move. And this offseason, Dame Lillard has to make a decision. And the writing's on the wall. And this right now... Okay, can I just also say a big bet here?
Yeah.
So we've got, what did we talk about with Ben Simmons for the longest time? Early on in the year.
I think we've asked Chad. We've talked about Ben Simmons every episode.
Every episode.
And this is it. We're finally at the tipping point here. It's very likely we don't ever talk about him again.
Unless they do on the playoffs, but it's going to be a very steady decline.
Yeah, so is it going to be Dame now? Is that where our focus shifts?
Dame was going to go to Philly. That vacancy's been taken up.
That's right.
So Dame, who's 31, 32 years old, what team should he go to to win that chip next season?
Well, I don't know if the Lakers can afford him because I don't think
you have to get Russell. And I'm sure that's what even LeBron, when he's sipping his wine, is grappling with that thought. Probably when he saw the CJ McCollum trade, he's like, motherfucker. He's like, if I could figure out a way, maybe I need to go to Portland. Maybe that's what LeBron's thinking too.
Well, that
maybe
would be
I
really
gotta
sweet.
leave.
Maybe Bronny
trade me to Portland, and Bronny's gonna get drafted to Portland.
And they go to Portland, and it's the James brothers with Dame, and Dame's the hero because he never left Rose
Portland.
City.
And they oh my god, wouldn't that be a crazy story?
That's the narrative.
And then after they win, it's gonna call so much attention to that part of the U.S. that the New Orleans Pelicans are gonna lift up and move up to Seattle, and we're gonna get Seattle Supersonics. If that were to happen in the next couple of years, that's where we're going to be.
Wow. Just wow. Well, let's go to the other predictions we made. Well, CJ was like one of the first trades that got made.
Yep.
Didn't go to the Knicks.
Yeah, you're saying.
Shocked still that the Knicks still look like the Knicks.
The Knicks will always look like the Knicks.
But hey, they got Spike Lee. And then what was Oscar's prediction? Boucher was going to get traded. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that was Oscar's, yeah. And he said Dragic would also go to the West or East. I don't know.
Well, that's a good bet to make because he did.
That's an easy bet. Great bet. Great bet.
We owe you some drinks, Oscar. Definitely owe you a drink or two because that was one big prediction. I really did not see it coming. The headlines started coming, or the even just the rumors around it. I was like, no, this guy just got here. What is this nonsense? Sure enough, the Nonsense Basketball Association prevailed, and cheers to you.
Okay.
Oh, cheers!
Yeah, you grab. All right.
Let's crack a beer
for
successful bet.
Yeah, for the successful bet.
And so who do you think won the trade ultimately? Just to clarify.
Well, okay. You know what? When it first happened, I was just like, Brooklyn. But, I mean, obviously, like, I think I kind of am overplaying the Kyrie thing in this sitch.
Well, cheers.
Yeah. I think, like...
But beyond Kyrie, they've got Patty Mills, they've got Joe Harris, who I know is injured right now, and Seth Curry. They don't need anything but the best defense from Ben Simmons, and that is what he is best at. So I do think that there's a lot of momentum going in that direction. But at the same time, Philly lost nothing but one really great shooter and a bit of veteran communication. But to have the beard,
son-in-law.
To have the beard, he did have to say goodbye to his grandchildren.
Yeah, that must have been hard. I know, yeah. And James Harden, if he comes back and plays well, and like, I'm sure, him sitting on the bench tonight and watching his Philadelphia 76ers get their ass handed to them by the Celtics, the look on his face, he's like, it's go time. So again, this hamstring injury, let's see how fast he comes back. I mean, this guy's, so many people like to talk these days. Kyrie, Simmons, even this situation with Harden. Man, I don't know. It feels like starting to be a growing number, and maybe this is always the case, percentage of players, I don't know if you feel this way, that, have this very, perception of the media or play the media in certain ways. And then you get some players that are a bit more, I don't know, I feel like they don't have to play these games.
Right.
Steph Curry doesn't have to play these games, such as Harden is in these conversations he has, or injuries, or engagements.
He wins games. That's it.
Well, and it's a great opportunity for him. They've developed a culture. It's a perfect scenario. But yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes I just find it kind of frustrating. I find it frustrating, in the same vein too, seeing about Ben Simmons and everybody's dancing around these questions that he himself is dancing around these answers of not wanting to be, as genuine and straightforward about what his true experience has been. And then as, Mark Spears said earlier today too, it's like, reading in between the things that these guys say. I don't know. I hate these games. It's just like, just say it. Like, whatever these decisions these guys make, just respect it and whatever.
And like you were
go
saying,
about your business.
When we were watching the press conference where Ben Simmons was just getting asked, question after question about.
They're pressing him because they were trying to get the little.
Who made you do what? But what you said was accurate. I think these guys have been waiting forever because and they've had to create their own narratives because they haven't gotten answers, and they're not going to. So just turn elsewhere. Start asking the guy about anything else because it's
gonna be way more interesting, honestly, too. Like, let's hear about, Ben Simmons, like, talk about, like, when you're going to come play, what you feel like those questions, Mark Spears was even asking. Like, what was that experience going to be like? How do you foresee you, Durant, and Kyrie playing as a team together?
It was interesting to hear him say,
just see him light up.
See these guys running with me.
Yep. And then the paint, Joel Embiid used to be there. It's completely open. It's free to him. He runs in and he dishes out. Like, holy fuck, what do you do?
We'll see. Yeah, could be really special.
Could be special.
Could be really great. They're fortunate because that could have just been it just could have continued downward. The spiral of, well, this guy doesn't want to do this and this guy... and then them not succeeding again. It's just it wouldn't be good. You want to see that kind of success, especially with the best players. I mean, you only have them for so long.
I gotta say one thing real quick about Kyrie. I don't know if you saw this earlier. He said he doesn't feel any guilt.
About what? Not getting
any guilt? Yeah, in his decisions or anything. Now I don't know. Again, like. However he's saying the words, he's looking at the media, so he's already going through a lens of some, like, ill will perception. So he's going to just say a comment like that. And maybe thinking, because him saying that, it made me feel like about his teammates, and not playing those games.
But again, it might have been taken totally out of context in the media. You know what I mean?
I know.
You can't feed that.
I know, but I feel like... I at least saw the video and him saying those words. It's just like, come on, man. I don't like that.
Think he's out to get you?
No, I don't like. I'm not about the whole selfish. It's just about me.
Yeah.
It's just about me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the fans. I don't care about the culture. Whatever. Like. The whole fucking mandates and the countries and the continents and the world's been dealing with COVID. Just like your teammates and your coaches. Like you have a job and there's a relationship and it's like family. I feel like it'd be me in the same way disrespecting you. Yeah. It'd be like doing something where it's like, I'm putting you down in some way, if it's financially or morally or whatever. That's making up a word. But then it's like coming out and saying, like, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about... that's what grinds my gears. That's what really grinds my gears about that guy.
Well, we've seen it in other sports. We've seen a jerk who's also not vaccinated win the MVP of the NFL this year. Until the league itself and the team itself, I just don't see how it's a good thing for the team. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch that happen.
I feel so bad for Steve Nash. How he tries to navigate. Which he does an incredible job. He's like, okay,
on this night we're going to be able to do this. This system's going to work. This is going to work. And then the next night we can't build off of any of that momentum.
Yeah.
Because this main player is not going to be available to us.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, and like how young guys supposed to formulate some level of consistency, or even just some sort of discourse. Like I don't feel like genuinely... that was a bit of like a thing to see, Harden at his level, his energy coming into the room. And he, there's a stink that starts to develop, right before the trade deadline because he's looking at Kyrie not being there all the time. And he's like, what the fuck? I came here to play with all you guys. Mm-hmm. And so those young guys, too, that are looking at this situation, they all start thinking to themselves maybe internally, yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, I'm on a team. You're incredible. I could learn so much from you. And it's just like, also, I don't know, it's such a small anomaly in the congruency of the whole big picture of it all. So it emphasizes this extra little bit of just kind of confusion or never feel like you can get a straight answer out of that guy about his intentions of why he does what he does sometimes. And again, it's just like that kind of comment. If I was a young player on that team, it's like, man, that's selfish. Like, okay, you have But if he was in the locker room, and this is again what you're saying, misconstruing it, and he had that conversation with me, and I knew that, and then whatever he says out there, what he's saying that to the media because Kyrie fucking hates the media. Cool, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's when it becomes bigger than the actual.
I buy into it. I do.
Well, it
gets the guys that just go like.
It's narrative.
Yeah.
It's narrative, and it matters because it's the personalities. But Kyrie has definitely turned himself into a bit of a heel, and I think he's fine there. I mean...
Yeah, no, you're right. I think...
It's challenging. It's
funny. I honestly think...
Draymond's a bit of the same way.
Yeah, so the more I think about it, this probably is the best fit for him because in a bunch of other teams, I just couldn't see Kyrie doing the things that he's doing. But, I mean, with the guys like Steve Nash, Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons on that team now, you got Seth Curry. Like, you got a really good, compassionate group of guys.
I predict they try to trade Ben Simmons within 3 years.
Okay. He will be the last guy on that team. This is the craziest thing. I think Ben Simmons will be the last cog left there when all the dust is settled on the Brooklyn Nets.
You know what's crazy about Ben Simmons is that the last player that reminded me a lot of him, it was Blake Griffin.
Mm.
Very, very similar. Guard-like abilities, power forward, high-flying dunker. Griffin had a better shot back in the day.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy to say. Because even watching him now, it's like, oh. It's kind of sad.
It'll be good to see. All of it will be good to see.
It will be. Yeah. It really. I didn't want to choose the whole Kyrie part. One last thing I wanted to say. I was asking this question, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. So, we were talking about trades and the trade deadline.
Came and went.
If you were to pick one team in the league, in the whole league of all the teams, that, I said to you a little bit earlier about the Seattle Supersonics, that pick up and move his franchise on yonder to greener pastures just because they're so incompetent, or maybe there's just no heart, in that city for that particular sport or team or whatever. I don't know. What would in seeing kind of like what happened from this experience with the trade deadline where all these teams are at right now in the histories of things?
My goodness. Well,
pick one team.
Before the Ja Morant era, I would have said the Memphis Grizzlies.
You weren't all about the Zach Randolph grind years
with Marcus Gasol. They were a good team, but still in that there was there wasn't the kind of following and chutzpah behind the excitement that Morant is garnering for that entire organization.
Totally,
it's remarkable.
Yeah,
but I think my answer yesterday or the day whenever you asked this was the New Orleans Pelicans. I do not believe that there's enough hope or will in that organization to win and to be playing basketball in front of the local fans.
What fans?
There were no fans at the game against the New Orleans Pelicans when the Raptors played, and they don't have any COVID restrictions like Canada does. So I do think that I'm glad that they've changed their name away from the Hornets. Unfortunately, they can't return to being called the Jazz because the Mormons own that name. If Utah starts to do really poorly, well, no, I guess Dwayne Wade just came in and bought part of that team. So there's
a lot of investment, and you got Danny Ainge there as well now too.
Beyond New Orleans, man, maybe Sacramento.
That was my team I was thinking.
Yeah, was who you were gonna pick?
Yeah, dude. No, go.
The box. What was Sacramento's known for? Like box outlet
malls.
stores, malls. Yeah, like
lots of outlet malls, big malls.
So Sacramento, and where would they go?
It's Seattle. Probably. Seattle would be the most obvious place, or Vegas.
Vegas could definitely support a NBA basketball team. Wow, that is so true.
I'd say those would be your two
Vegas
first cities.
And Vegas
Seattle.
and Seattle would be really great. The NHL has already paved the way. The path doesn't cost as much.
There.
The infrastructure's already there. You got to get behind some sort of entertainment group that supports it. I think that'd be amazing. Basketball in Vegas would be a huge success.
I could see like maybe Seattle maybe next 3 years, Vegas next 5 years or something. Like I'm sure with Vegas and all their investments right now, the Raiders just coming there, they're probably going to give it a couple years before they snatch up another. But it's pretty obvious Vegas getting a hockey team now, having a football team, like they're wanting anything they can possibly get for sports. They're going to pull that city.
Yeah, there's enough tourism to support that kind of.
And Seattle, you got such a history. It'd be easy.
It's already there. I know.
Back up.
Well, maybe we'll see it happen, but those kind of things take a while. I don't know the support of the owners are like, but that would be awesome. I would love for a team to come back to Vancouver. I think that would be so much fun. Getting the kind of support now after the Raptors won, I think would be a lot easier to convince. But I'm not sure that there's a world-class venue there really for them, because GM Place or whatever, Rogers Place, Arena, or whatever it is in Vancouver, I think there was reason that they left out of that infrastructure. And who knows, maybe Vancouver could put a bid in for
I was just wondering
a new arena, especially if they're considering the Olympics again in 10 years.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh, there you go.
Future looks bright.
Maybe things will... Nothing. Things are going to be so fucking bright for the Memphis Grizzlies that we would never get Ja. But just imagine Ja in Vancouver.
Oh my god. Oh, if they went back to Vancouver. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is really nice that they wear those retro jerseys.
Yeah.
They bring those back. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are sweet. Yeah, I really
and they say Vancouver on them too.
Yeah.
So, when you're watching from home, it's basically like you're watching a team in Vancouver. But I think I think they're gonna win within like 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna have to get a few more supporting pieces, though. I think for longevity. And
hopefully not fall to the fatal sting of some of the other primes that we've seen of his caliber. Like I don't even want to say the names because I feel like that's just putting really bad juju out there. But you know what I mean, like just his play style and whatnot. There's players in the past who really injured themselves. So, and that Marcus Morris play too, like. I don't know, it was last week or something where, he was going for the ball, and I even heard, like, Raja Bell or something say recently that he's like, it's just a good defensive play or whatnot. But the guy, like, he got ejected for the head. But Raja made the point, which I didn't realize this, is, like, Ja went up on one leg. He's like, you should go up with both legs. If you're going to go up with one leg, you're more susceptible, you're going to be out of balance. Right. And then injure yourself. And so I was like, that's a fair point.
It is.
With that kind of aggression that Ja was going in.
Yeah. But that's the flair, that's the style that Ja
I know.
carries.
If you're going to call more of those and you're promoting that kind of play in your league, where there's certain benefits to that, but...
These guys are going fast. That's risk reward.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. All right, so one last thing. The All-Star Weekend's coming up. We just saw Jared Allen, I think, is replacing James Harden.
Yep. Yeah.
Is there one player, if there was one more replacement, that you think still was snubbed from this year's All-Star game?
Jaylen Brown.
Not going?
Jaylen Brown's not going. And you know what? It's the whole reason why I think the Celtics feel on such a tear, because when he didn't get the nod, you can see it year after year. It's kind of mounted. That like it's really irked him. And he is playing out of his mind. Like he is hitting like the exact same points, if not more than Tatum is pretty much night after night. Or if he's not having that kind of night, he's doing all your other intangibles and putting up big numbers. Like, he is such a stud, man. He is such a stud. I don't understand why, sure, the Celtics are having a bad season, so you're only going to pick one player. It's just that really...
Darius Garland's there.
I know, for the Cavs.
It's a hometown thing.
Yeah, it's a hometown, and he was way ahead of Jared Allen, obviously, because we thought Jared Allen was going to get in sooner than he ended up getting in, right?
Yep. Well, I think Siakam still also has a case to make.
Yep.
Trent Jr.'s been putting it on, but I'm glad to see Jared Allen make it, because I think that he's a huge reason that the Cavs have been the biggest surprise this season.
I think he is the life force of the team. Like his presence when he got traded and came to that city, it changed that city instantly.
And now they've got Karis LeVert too.
Yeah, and
teaming up again with Jared Allen. And remember, they were in Brooklyn together.
There you go. And they did pick and roll. They did a lot of pick and roll together, and that team was actually very devastating. And then you got Evan Mobley, which is going to be he's going to be the MVP of the season within 8-10 years.
Do you think he'll be Rookie of the Year, or do you think Scotty can?
I think Evan Mobley's going to get Rookie of the Year. I think it sucks. I think Scotty has got the numbers, but if I'm really going to be honest here in the moment, I think U.S. media does a lot of vote on this, and there always seems to be preferential treatment against if it was rookies. I even hear in conversation all the time, Scotty Barnes is not necessarily the first guy that comes up. Unless you got the real hoopers that are like the real journalists, like Lowe, Spears, these guys, they get it. But I think a lot of the time, a lot of the press gets more, they get more preferential treatment. So I think Mobley's going to get it. I mean, it sucks because I think both these guys are like right there. Maybe I would put Mobley's ceiling, unless Scotty literally gets with his frame to be like a Giannis-esque, which it would throw everybody off. But we would look at this guy and be like, oh yeah, it's coming. But Evan Mobley is like, he's Kevin Garnett 2.0. He's better. Like he is going to be
It's going to be really good.
He's going to be Hall of Fame.
I was really hoping that he would land to the Raptors. There's no way that he would have fallen to 4th. But hey, I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Let's do it again next week or the week after, whenever we get back to it.
It'll probably be the week after next. But then it's going to be, there's no crazy trips. We'll be able to.
No more crazy trips. Lots of basketball.
We got playoffs. We should do a March Madness thing.
We'll do a March Madness thing. And we'll create a pool if anybody wants to take part in our pool. Let us know.
Yeah.
And
we'll set some up.
We'll do it again soon. Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Ciao.